The Assisa Foundation programs are customized for each of the segments. The one for workers is also customized to suit the needs of workers. So it would include things like understanding the different various deductions that happen on your payslip, understanding retirement savings, and so on. And what this foundation also does, with each of the programs, they identify stakeholders. They make the effort to engage various stakeholders. For WageWise, we engage with worksites and with labor unions. So they make the effort to identify stakeholders in the various sectors who will be appropriate to each of the programs and engage with those programs so that when the program goes out, it talks to that audience, it talks to that segment, and it's appropriate for that segment. We have the on-the-ground understanding in terms of the audience, and we try and meet them where they are. As much as possible, we work with facilitators who understand the language that is used on the ground in that province, and it goes a long way in demystifying financial terms, financial concepts, because if you reach a person in their language, it does make a huge difference. We also fit in, we try and as much as possible to fit in with the arrangements that our various audiences have in place. So if it's worksites or if it's cooperative, if they meet on a certain day, we usually will fit in and we'll also run our programs and our workshops on the same day. If they say we usually meet on a Saturday, we'll conduct workshops on a Saturday. We meet them where they are. We don't want them to take the extra effort to travel and come attend the workshop, but the facilitators go in and reach them where they are to make it as accessible as possible. What we also do in terms of the examples that we use examples that they can relate to, that they see in their day-to-day lives. And we also use a lot of storytelling, because we know that financial topics are difficult and complex. And in using storytelling through things like videos and industrial theater, it simplifies the content, it simplifies some of the difficult concepts and make it accessible. So I think that understanding of on-the-ground dynamics is important in that way. From time to time, there are various challenges that you encounter when you're running programs, especially face-to-face programs. Strikes are some of the problems that we encounter, that sometimes you've arranged for a certain day for a workshop to happen, but there are strikes in the community and you're not able to get in and access that community venue or a website. And maybe there are water issues from time to time. But I think the biggest challenge was with COVID-19 when it happened, because a lot of our programs were based on face-to-face. So when COVID happened, we had to adapt and we started using radio, and we used digital platforms such as webinars and such as WhatsApp for Business. These worked, but what we've noticed is that for our audience, there's issues of connectivity. So webinars, for example, not everybody can access connectivity devices. People do not have access to devices or connectivity or data. So sometimes when you run a webinar, you have to make data available for participants. Or now currently with load shedding, some of the connectivity issues are even more bigger. So as a result, as soon as possible, when the restrictions that were lifted, we then started to include a bit of blended, so that as much as there is a digital channel, we do try as much as possible to include a face-to-face component, so that it's a blended approach. There's a bit of face-to-face and a digital component to make sure that we are reaching the audience. The biggest achievement is really to see a change in attitude. A lot of workshops, when we start, people are hesitant to talk about finances. Finances are a difficult subject for a lot of people. But at the end of the workshop, you realize that people are more freer, and the use of humor does help. And in a humorous way, you can find people opening up and being able to talk about finances. And some of our facilitators have also reported that after the workshop, sometimes months after the workshop, sometimes even a year after the workshop, some of the participants have reached out to them to report back that, the workshop that you did helped me. I've started saving. I've reduced my debt. I'm no longer in as much debt as I used to be. In 2020, there was a study that was conducted that showed that participants who had gone through the WageWise workshop were better prepared and they were more resilient, better prepared in terms of facing the challenges that came with COVID-19, where people were working in some cases with reduced income, or some were not even at work at all. So the study compared people that had gone through a WageWise workshop and people who had not gone through any workshop. And it found that those who had gone through the workshop were better able to manage even during those difficult times. So that is quite heartwarming, and it shows that there is a difference being made. We know that it's not an overnight success that we're going to see, but slowly, we are seeing change of attitude, change of behavior, and our participants reporting that they are better skilled to face various aspects of their financial management. For a financial education program to be relevant, it's different factors. I think engaging with the stakeholders prior to running the program is key to understand what are some of their burning issues, what are some of their challenges, where do they lack information, or what are some of the burning issues with that particular audience segment. But I would say it's stakeholder engagement, having appropriate content, having interactive workshops, so that you're not just having the facilitator lecturing to audiences, but the participants are also able to interact and ask questions and bring in their own experiences. And it's an interactive workshop. So that interactivity, understanding your audience, talking in their language, using examples, using a story-based approach, engaging with the stakeholders beforehand, that goes a long way. Financial education is for everybody. And I think those are some of the factors that do help to make it a success. Ongoing stakeholder engagement and ongoing improvement in terms of the way you structure your content, the way you structure the workshop. A lot of people believe they don't have enough money. They don't earn enough money, they can't save, or they're not in charge of finances, they're not proactive. Where they have debt, they don't want to engage with the creditors. So what we've seen with financial education is that there's a shift of attitude. As much as people may still have debt, they are more willing to engage with the people that they owe. They are more willing to take small steps that will ensure that eventually they're out of debt. There is hope. I think the information that we share gives hope, and it helps to empower people to start taking charge and to start being more open about their finances, being more willing to talk to their spouses when they get home, to talk to their family members when they get home. So for us to see those conversations starting to happen, that dialogue and that openness around finances, it's a step in the right direction.